Hello and welcome to another update video about Natgas. So just to explain the bigger picture before we dive deeper into the micro count, because here we have another interesting turning point now that we have arrived at. We're dealing here still with this potential ABC structure. I explained to you in the last videos already that primary scenario is still for the price generally to move higher, because in this wave 4 that we're tracking, it is not deep enough really to consider it a reliable wave 4. However, it is long enough from a time perspective. Prices can correct over time or they can correct over price. Oftentimes it's a mix, but maybe the wave 4 is already over. Then it would have been predominantly a correction over time, okay? And then we should get another low. I mean, one more low is anyway our base case, our thesis for price to head down lower. But ideally, I would prefer a little bit of a higher wave 4 before we come down. This is still the expectation that we will see one more low. And either we go down more directly or we go a little higher and then come down. That is at the moment the scenario that I'm tracking. So again, primary scenario is still for it to move higher. However, we already have all the minimum requirements fulfilled for this wave 4 to be over, and with that also the C wave of the wave 4. Why? Because, as explained before, we have an A wave complete, a B wave, and the C wave has 5 waves. It would have to be also here a diagonal, but there are enough waves, 5, to complete this C wave, and it reached the 100% extension level already here on the 9th of August. So, you know, the top could be in. It could be in. But I cannot confirm that before price breaks below $2.14. I already explained to you that if we break to the downside of this price channel, it would potentially be bearish, yeah? And I will track primarily then the yellow wave count, which would be, which would be more directly the pathway to the downside. Okay, this is already highlighted on the chart as a alternative wave count, where we had a wave 1 to the downside in yellow and potentially a wave 2 to the upside into resistance. This was a potential short trade area. These resistance boxes can be used for short trades if you like to. That's entirely up to you. Essentially, I cannot tell you what to do. That depends on your strategy. But it is an area where the price has a good chance to turn around and where typically reward and risk are very favorable. So we had that area here on the chart already last week. It has come down nicely. And now we have a potential turnaround point again. So we're going to zoom in to this now. So hopefully that makes sense, yeah? While we're primarily tracking still higher, if you have an area where a trade can be done, where reward is high and risk is low, then, you know, what I always say, you don't trade the primary count. You just don't do that. You trade the wave count where there are opportunities like reward high, risk low. For example, anybody who took this short trade or who took a short trade in resistance would now be nicely in profit and could move down the stop loss, take partial profits, whatever. Now we have reached the trend line again. So from here, just track that. So yeah, from here, price has a chance to turn around, but it needs to do so now, okay? So we have another, just need to do that, just set that up here. We have another price range. Let me just set this up properly. Just want to make sure I grab the low here. Yeah. So we've got a price range here from where price could turn around to the upside, but it would really need to do that before getting a sustained break below, well, actually below here, this 78.6 fib level, $2.52. I think it might go lower. So 247 is still a possibility there. Sometimes Natgas retraces quite deep. But this would be the level, if it breaks below the 88.7 fib level, then it will also break below the ascending trend line and will most likely take out the low of the 24th of August. So what I'm highlighting here is, here's a potential area where the price can turn around, where reward is high and risk is low for a potential rally higher, which would be a third wave of a C wave, yeah? Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. So it's decent reward to risk ratio. Would be nice to have a short trade here, a long trade here, and it bounces and rallies, even if it only gives a short reaction, okay? Short-term reaction. Yeah, that's sort of what I'm thinking. I mean, essentially, this is the level that we now need to be watching. All eyes need to be on this trend line. I think it might touch the trend line, and then it all depends really on the bulls. Can the bulls turn up? I mean, it comes down quite impulsively, but it has done that many times before, right? Quite aggressively, these sell-offs, and then it turns around again. But essentially, it's important to understand we are in a price channel. We have a pullback to a trend line. We have a pullback into a Fibonacci retracement area. So from here, it has a chance to turn around. Is it guaranteed? Of course not. Of course not. But that's why we are doing risk management, right? I can only encourage you not to trade too aggressively in these ending diagonals. Yeah? I said that before. Diagonals are typically not for aggressive trading. They are not for leverage because they are very choppy, as you can see. Very, very choppy price action. But yeah, I think there's a good chance to turn around. But then again, if it breaks below the trend line, then we're tracking primarily the yellow wave count. And price can come down very quickly to $2.14. And then this is another area of interest. But I think if it actually gets there, then it's already, yeah, if it gets to 214, it likely will break it. And then it has invalidated the wide wave count higher anyway. Yeah, that's my update at the moment about Natgas. I know a very, very choppy market can be very frustrating. That is the nature of these corrective diagonal structures. Yeah, whenever that happens, people always talk about manipulation. That is just what it is in these choppy when there is so much when there's a chop. Okay, so just be careful there. Yeah, that's my update about Natgas. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.